onto our
Good evening.
BayState. Hey, welcome.
This is
Ooh, I love that
Sonora.
the ladies showed up. What's
That's
up?
right.
What's up? The ladies showed up on early today. How you doing, Miss Mendes? I miss your face. Let's see, I think we are streaming. I think we are streaming. I'm trying to find my page, double check. We are meeting some new friends, some new faces. I love that we're all together. I love that we're all together in New England. I think it is the best idea ever.
Oh yeah,
And,
absolutely, absolutely.
There's so much going on, and there's so much we can do for each other. Just by being present. So I'm pumped. I'm so glad we get to meet folks. I feel like sometimes, like, if we try to do something regional, we don't really have enough, like, in the past, like, you have to drive there and then you have to drive back, and people it's a thing. And so here you just have to roll out of bed if you're napping, if you're I put a little lipstick on before we got started. All right, that looks good. Excellent. Okay. Ooh, you got some curls, Miss Mendes. You got it. You got the flow going. Oh yeah. You know what? I totally forgot about this, but there was like this awesome sale, and I didn't end up pulling the trigger, but there was an awesome sale on like t-shirts and stuff in the Legal Shield store, and I totally
did see that the other day. Yeah,
I saw it too. I looked at myself. I saw Sharon had hers, and I'm like, oh no, I think I missed out on that sale. I have to go check that out and see if I missed it.
You have to ask Trudy to turn around and read the back of her t-shirt.
Oh yeah?
Turn around, girlfriend. Show everybody your back.
I don't know if she can, because she's got her phone. So
no kids. Oh, here's a cute t-shirt.
Okay. All right. All right. So I just got an update. From Jim that says that he's having some technical difficulties. We are starting in 1 minute, so 1 minute down.
Okay.
And so he will be in production world. You call it the voice of God. That's when that voice comes. That's disembodied, like just. That's right. So he's going to be.
Josh, look at, we got all these new people. Lisa Day.
Hello.
Lovely.
How's everybody doing tonight?
What is this? Is that Senora? Cineura? Senora?
Sonora. It's Sonora.
Sonora.
Yeah, Sonora is in our little group that we on Facebook, and she lives in Colorado.
Woohoo!
All right.
Mike Robideau, I recognize that name.
Welcome. That's right. So I'm going to go ahead and, I did want to do that. I'm actually going to ask Sharon, actually, Michael, do you mind being co-host for me today? And so, sure. Michael, as people come in, I'm going to go ahead and make you co-host. You're just going to go ahead and click it to let them in.
Absolutely.
And so that will be fantastic. Thank you so much. And Sharon is my partner in crime. So I'm going to make you a co-host too, just in case anything fun happens that we can't control.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and share a screen. I know it does. So hello, everybody. I welcome you. I cannot believe another week has gone by. It is January 14th, and I can't believe it's already January 14th. Here we are in 2021. It is so exciting to get to the start of this year as what we're calling the Northern Four. My name is Jeanette Ocampo Welch. They call me Joe. And for my sign language folks, my sign is Joe, J-O. And I'm here in the amazing BayState of Massachusetts. It is an absolute delight to be here. And as you know, I have my partner in crime, Jim Tanner, but I just want to give you guys a heads up that he is here, but he's having some technical difficulties. So when we get to his part, you may just hear, like I was saying, what we call in production world, the voice of God. But we will be able to get from his wisdom and enjoy that. So while I've got your attention, I'm going to go ahead and also pin myself next to this fantastic slideshow that Jim has created. I just am showing you this card. I created this card, and in case there's a lot of data on it, you are correct. On one side here, we have just that reminder that we do have a Facebook page in Massachusetts, and we have the Legal Shield New England page. And so right now, those are the two places where we are sending out the same message. We're just being consistent because we had started in Massachusetts, and Massachusetts does sometimes have a little bit of its own flavor. And so we want to make sure that the Massachusetts folks are getting that, especially the license information, if there was anything coming out in that way. However, ultimately, we are getting that same message across to everybody in the Northern Four. We have a Zoom link, which right now you guys are on. It's zoffice.live. We have a weekly meeting, which you're on right now, which is perfect. We do have will parties. I have been hosting them. I host them in my American Sign Language. I host them in English. I haven't done one in a while, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And also, when we look at our calendar, we see that there are so many open houses being offered. But what I will say is that, especially here in the Northern Four, if you're feeling like there's a need for it, remember that you're always able to do your own open house. But if there's a drive that maybe we need something in our space, just to, let Jim know, let myself know, and we certainly can figure out what needs to happen. The other side of it is, if you're feeling like you're a little maybe hesitant because the calendar is so very purple, and so it sometimes can be a little overwhelming to find out where an open house is, or perhaps you don't know the leadership who's hosting it. That's also something that we could just take a few quick minutes, if you need, just feel free to reach out. You can see that right below that, we have that Legal Shield New England page, and then also that Facebook page. And then here's Jim Tanner's information, and mine is right below that. And you can see on this side is just that reminder of what's coming up for us. We have our Fast Start trainings, there are those Super Saturdays, and we have that big conference that's coming up in April. And understand that we've already seen Legal Shield be wise when it comes to keeping us safe. So we know that get those tickets, because that ticket's just going to roll over, whether it's virtual, whether it's on site. But if you get that ticket now, then you know that you're already putting into your mind your goals for the future. You're thinking about what's happening next. And for us, we're always trying to bring people from the meeting to the next meeting, right? From one event to the other. For our new folks, we're bringing them from one training to the next event, because we're constantly building and using the system that has been created to be duplicatable. And then here is our meeting that we're doing here. We do have folks that need to call in. Some of our folks are deaf and they use sign language interpreters or some other means of an access point. And so that phone number is located at the edge of that card. And so feel free to do a screenshot if you haven't already. And it's also located in our BayState Live, BayState Zoom page, and our BayState LSA page, and our Legal Shield New England page. Let's see now. It's a little, I'm here. I'm Jo Welch. I'm the co-host here to the amazing Jim Tanner. And I am so happy to be your CMC. And while we're expanding and doing new things, I am happy to be at service to everyone in the Northern Four. So if you do have a question, if you're looking for Jim, your information is there. But if you are looking for me, feel free to ask. I'm happy to be at your service. All right, so we're going to start with January making a difference. And this is just that reminder that everything starts with that building block, right? We're going to go out and protect that one family. And very often people are like, how do I do that? And the reality is that we have to be in service of the people around us. We have to be those community outreach people who say to their friends, to their family, to the pizza delivery guy, are you protected? There was an enormous data breach that happened just recently that has impacted like government level information of ours. And if we're not thinking about how to protect not just ourselves and the people that we're meeting here, but making sure that everybody is aware that there's even a product out there that can not only protect them, but restore, then we're doing them a disservice. So that's just a reminder. And these folks coming along, look at this list, have done that. They went out, they protected a family. They got them legal shield, they got them ID shield. And in the states outside of Massachusetts, they may have even gotten them a business plan. Fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead, my screen's over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and read and shout out to Brenda Lewis, Joseph Amakoa, Vincent Lindo, Holly Lavero, Lisa Day. Congratulations, Lisa. The Saint Shia Bulia. I'm going to have to learn these names. Again, if you're out there and I do something by misstep and I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, please just go ahead and reach out to me and send me a phonetic way. I'm happy to learn it and make sure that I do it with honor and respect. We have Nautilus Partners, Tina Colby, Connie Ayotte, Lambert Kaburundi, Stan Snow, Laura Stubbs, Legrand Amisi, Bob Sheasley, EBS Insurance, Cheryl Miller, Eglatine Lemani, Budo. Yes, so I want to congratulate you all, but wait, there's more. Joe Welch, Yvette Eldridge, Nola Fennessy, Julie Gershon, Amanda Scott, I know is a first-time mad person. Congratulations. Diajani Afo, Diane Campbell, and Jim Tanner. Congratulations, Jim Tanner. I love knowing that you're out there making a difference. So what those people did is they went out and protected one family. They made sure that that message was being shared. Then what happens, as we do know, and for our new associates, what we do is we then do the next sale, that next protection, and we're building towards something. That's also about creating a consistent business. And what we're trying to meet now, and if people haven't heard the latest news from our recent announcements, our Performance Club is now $100 for Performance Club and $200 for Performance Club Pro. And the reason they made this adjustment is that we had done an increase in rates for our plans. And so now this is a little more consistent with that. So it's not going to be harder to attain. You guys are already doing the work every day. And so I want to just do a shout out for Nola Fennessy, who's been doing it for 179 months. What is the math on that? 12 leaves you 59. Is that almost 17 years? Is that what that is? That can't be right. I don't know that I'm doing the right math there. How many years is that? Is that a 10? That's a lot of, if someone's got the answer, feel free to put it in the chat. Actually, while you're putting things in the chat, if anybody has leveled up, or if you had just a really big, maybe you got a bonus check, we want to be able to celebrate you. Because we've now expanded into the 4 states, it's kind of hard to keep up with everybody's specific celebrations. And as well, we're getting documentation and information from headquarters, but sometimes it's a little bit delayed. So we're always going to reach out to you and say, if you do level up, share it now so that I can go ahead and I'll go back into the chat and we'll be able to do a little shout out. If you have done something spectacular and you're just so proud, put that in the chat and I'll be sure to recognize. We also have Julie Gershon with 163 months, Jim Tanner, Yvette Eldridge, and myself. I'm at 26 months, and just that friendly reminder that 24 months gets you that $500 bonus. What? And also one of the changes that came up in our Performance Club bonus structure is what they've done is they've created a stepping stone for the first 4 months of our existence in our company. And so it's a really great way to look at that if the first 20 days you become senior associate, and then in the first 45 days you become a manager, then by the time you get to 90 days, the senior manager bonus is still in play, which is fantastic. So we have bonuses every single month. And then in 4th month, because you're killing it, you're doing it, you now get that PC bonus. So I just want to say it is absolutely worth it. And what it does in the long run is it helps us build that momentum, and it also helps us build consistency in our business. Ooh. What? Julie Gershon, right on. I feel like this is like, it's like unwrapping a present. Like, this is fantastic. She is $100,000 ring earner. Let's do this. Is in Deaf World, this is applause. So if everybody will join me and just give Julie some applause. Yeah, right on. She is a Massachusetts, well, she has a nationwide business, but she is one of ours, and she is focused in the B2B world, and she is just amazing. Congratulations, what a joy. I also wanted to do a little shout out because I know that people are seeing us in a couple different places, not just on Facebook, but in all the streaming places. So thank you so much. If you're seeing this today, if you're seeing it tomorrow, if you're seeing it next week, I'm just glad that you're seeing it, and I hope that you invite your team along. Let's see. Okay, here's where the rubber hits the road, as they say. Every month, and I'm hoping that especially the new folks may not have gotten this rhythm yet, but every month, if you keep your ears peeled and your eyes open, you're going to find out that there's usually an early incentive. This incentive is there, well, it's an incentive. There's usually some cash attached to it, and our goal again is about using a system that's going to help us create good habits. This good habit happens to reward you if you have $75 in premium and one new associate. You can get a $100 bonus. If you have that same $75 and two associates, you get a $200 bonus. That is not too bad, right? That is not too bad. I'm $9 away, so I have been doing a lot of social media and reaching out to people today, so I'm hoping I'll get there. I don't know if anybody else is close to that bonus, but I hope that you are, and I hope that you just keep hitting it, because remember, we're on East Coast time. The PC push ends at 12 a.m. Central Time. So we get that bonus hour there. So that's kind of nice. Remember, it is nighttime. So you want to start thinking about the West Coast people. So as the sun falls, you start to go a little further west. So right now it is only 6:30 in California and even earlier in Hawaii. So there's definitely a lot of people you could still be talking to. And personally, I actually drew out a chart because I was very curious about, like, sometimes the day gets away from you, and I find myself here on East Coast time and it's already almost 9 o'clock, which is just not the time you want to be reaching out to people, especially for a first time call. So I love the idea that if we think about those coasts, if we think about how we can look at the time zones, we could actually still do business until, theoretically until, 11 o'clock, and that's 8 o'clock Pacific time. So it might be good to start thinking about those lists when you're creating your list to, where are your West Coast people? Because that's that time when you can't sleep or you haven't gotten to bed, you can always reach out to those West Coasters. And because, the PC is just level 1, but if you want to like, up that, if you have $150 in premium and one associate, they're matching that with a $150 bonus. And then if you have two, they're going to give you $300. I'm going to tell you right now, that is nothing to sneeze at. And I don't know where that quote comes from, and now I'm super curious about where that comes from. Okay, this is a save the date. If you haven't already, I really recommend you just doing a quick screenshot. What you see here is, this is the national announcement. There's another one in October. These are national. And then here are our Super Saturdays. That's what these dates are. And we're going to get the times as they come in. And then we also have the April conference coming up and the October conference. So what it does is, this is just laying out for you the schedule so that you can start making sure that your team, yourself, are present and accounted for at these different events. We do have, these are all our Super Saturdays. So it's here for New England, run by the Mannings. They usually bring wonderful people. I think Elizabeth Gardner is one of our guests coming up, which is exciting. That they are really trying to bring in the top leadership to come and represent and bring us amazing information. And then also, we do happen to have a lot of deaf folks. That's not different. We happen to have a large amount of deaf folks here, but just that reminder to them that, and for you guys, if you end up bringing in deaf folks into your team, that if it's a Zoom call, there's always a phone number they can call in, and there's a way to get access. It's not our ideal way. We actually have an amazing deaf team with deaf leadership, but also for our folks here in Massachusetts and in New England, we want them to feel that if they want to join us, that there's no barriers. All right, international convention. Who has been to the international convention out there? All right, we see a few hands. And what's funny is that Sharon joined our team, and felt like I was like smuggling her in my suitcase. Like I said, "Do you want to go to the convention?" She's like, "Absolutely." And then all of a sudden we went to one of the last live conventions, right? Was that the last live convention? And she ended up there very quickly. And so I cannot wait till we can have live events again, because there is a magic. There is just something very special about being in the room with everybody. But I will say that I'm incredibly honored that we are finding the space here in Zoom, that we're seeing each other, that we're being consistent with each other, and that we're going to try to build that. I'd love to maybe think of maybe once a quarter we could figure out maybe of a more social way so that we can all kind of talk and get to know each other a little bit. But this is Jeff Bell standing on an amazing stage. And I can't stress enough the importance of going to the conferences and the conventions. A lot of folks might think that, well, I'm not sure, and I'm on the fence, and it's a lot of money, and I get that. I do. But the magic that we're talking about, the connection that we're talking about, and the amount of care and dedication that our leadership takes in creating the conferences is just, it's beyond measure. And for me, one of my favorite memories, and this may not be yours and your experience, but one of my favorite memories was that we were at I guess it was the international convention, and one by one, state by state, the lawyers would come running up. And now from Alaska, this firm and that firm, and they'd come up and they'd like, and everyone's hanging, or in a big stadium, everyone's hanging out, they're doing high fives, and when awards are given and people are going crazy. And that was like probably one of the biggest like game changers, when I'm like, we love our lawyers. Like, this is crazy. This is unbelievable. The crowd is going wild. They're like, whoa, screaming their names. It was like a pageant or a concert. And to me, that was just such a lasting impression, as you can see, because that's easily like 4 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And I just remember being like, this is a game changer. This is absolutely a game changer in terms of how we see not just legal services, but how we treat legal services, how we view the benefits, the services that they're doing for us every day. Unbelievable. So not only is there that, there's always just so many people imparting wisdom. I mean, again, virtually or otherwise, you should absolutely have these dates, scheduled and blocked off in your calendar. Make sure you have a lot of fresh notebooks, a lot of pens. I actually have been to some conferences where I just drained my pen. It was gone. So there are tickets for sale, but I would reach out to your leadership, go up your chain through executive directors and up to your platinums. A lot of people got bundles, so you can maybe still get a $49 or a $59 ticket. So I would recommend doing that now, because the prices will go up as we get closer. So you might as well get it now and save the money. Oh, yes. This is super exciting. One of the things that I love that we started doing are called advanced product trainings. And if you're new to us, you may have, seems like there's one now every maybe 6 months or so. If you've been around for a bit, or maybe just coming and plugging back in, what this does is it unpacks all the nuances of each of our services. Sometimes when there's been so many changes, or if you're very part-time or spare time, you may be trying to navigate, like, how do I keep up with all this information? This is how you do it. You show up at the advanced product training, and then that's the place where they're going to literally, like I said, open the box. They're going to show you the insides. They're going to talk all the way through. And it's just, I feel like it is absolutely the best way to kind of matrix your way, like have that, they put it in there and then your brain fills and you now know how to fly a helicopter. Same idea, but it's all about our Legal Shield services. We've had an enormous change in the small business. Melissa Wilder has been just tirelessly presenting over and over and over again, just telling people what the small business plans are doing. They have just lifted the lid on capacity for this what used to be a 10, 50, and 100 plan. It is just everything we do becomes more powerful every day. And so I think one of the things to do is attend this. It's on the calendars. And one of the beautiful things about having everything in Zoom these days is you don't have to look at New Hampshire, Massachusetts. You can look at any state. You're going to find the information that you need. So I really recommend getting yourself and your team on this advanced product training day, because It's free, and it's just going to go in. It's going to kick the tires. It's going to show you all the pieces. I think it's just such a worthwhile. April is amazing. Is that Alice? I don't know who this person is. I don't recognize him. I think it's Alistair. Is that Alistair?
I think it's Alistair.
Is it who?
I think it is Alistair.
Oh, okay, cool. I don't see him very often. He's someone I kind of know more as he's more of a name for me, like than he is a person in my life. So I happen to know Melissa and April in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it is the time we've all been waiting for. We have an amazing man who is a part of Massachusetts, as well as the new regional director for all 4 northern states, Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts, what we're calling now the Northern 4 New England. And Jim, you are out there. And so you said you were having some internet issues. So we're going to see where you are at right now. Let's see if we get some voice. And while we're working on that, I am going to go ahead and look at the chat. I see that people
Joe Welch, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
There you are. There you are. Hang on a second. I see. You just want to do a little shout out while you're getting settled. Michael Robidow, is that right? Almost 15 years. Oh, that was you guys doing the math. Thank you so much. I thought I was shouting out to you. Perfect. Wow, that is a long time for a PC. So Jim, I heard your magical voice. Are you with us?
I am here. The only question is, am I being heard? And it sounds like I am. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Jim.
You are getting shout out. So can you see everybody?
I can see everyone. I have you all on my screen, but everything just kind of went crazy right at the beginning. Everything crashed, and I figured it's probably something to do with the house filled with people streaming things. And so I am now dialed in, and it is now incumbent upon my cell phone provider to make sure that my voice comes through instead of my internet provider. So hopefully this is good for everybody. I loved all the slides tonight. I think, Joe, you did a great job talking about everything. And I just love listening to you present, especially where it gets to the parts where you have to do pronouncing the names, because man, you are just a champion at that. Congratulations.
I can only hope that I bring the honor to the folks and their celebration. You know, I know how important it is for our, to have our names, said in a public venue and recognition. And so again, if there are any folks out there who are, where I'm not doing it justice, I don't want to just do a good job. I want to pronounce your name correctly. So I hope that people feel free to reach out.
And as my mentor always says, if you just stay on that list long enough, we'll get that name down. So give us great confidence there. Joe, just one thing I'll say about you, and I'm going to give you the last word. I do have some thoughts I'd like to share with everybody, but I want to just say to you, you are the inspiration. Well, in the artist world, in the creative world, we might say you're my muse this evening, because you said last week, well, I wonder how a millionaire thinks. And I don't know if you even remember saying that last week, but you said it on this show, and I said, well, there's a training in there. And I've been working on it this week. And I shared some of this with my team earlier in the week. We had a meeting on Monday, and I'm going to share it with all of you. And I hope this is helpful, because ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, it comes down to mindset. Now, it's not what we want to hear. When you talk about building a legal show business, it's not what we want to hear. We want to hear it comes down to mastering the technical of our business. But I know the other Millionaire Club members. I hang out with the other Millionaire Club members, the other ring earners. And I know that my experience in this business is not unique. That what I'm going to share with you this evening is exactly what, some of the stories are different, some of the methodologies are different, but what you're going to hear tonight, if you write this down, you're going to get exactly what Millionaire Club members do to become Millionaire Club members, to maintain that lifestyle and to grow and scale their legal show businesses locally and across the United States and Canada. So for those of you that are interested, and I hope it's all of you, I want to talk to you about a millionaire's mindset this evening. And let's just start by saying, and congratulations to Julie Gershon. I know you're not on with us live right now as I'm speaking, but you are so cool, Julie. Congratulations, $100,000 ring. That is a fabulous mile marker for you. And it's certainly not the top of the mountain. I know Julie well, and I know how capable she is, how she takes care of her members and her client companies. And she's an absolute, highly respected veteran Legal Shield Business Solutions associate, and she deserves that recognition. And the best is still yet to come for Julie Gershon. We'll get her here on to speak with everyone soon enough. I love seeing the success stories coming from this marketplace. So I want to talk to you about a millionaire's mindset. I want to talk to you about peeling back all of the stuff, the noise, the distractions that come. For those of you that and this is not a plug or anything, but for those of you that follow my podcast, I started season 2 in the fall, and my wife, Dr. Danielle Rousseau, was on because she'd been on break from school. She did the last week of December with me and the first week of January. We talked about setting goals and setting intentions for 2021. And then in the next episode, we talked about looking back at the year that was and having honest assessments and looking at what were profitable things and unprofitable things. And for those of you that have caught that, you already know about it. For those of you who didn't, you'll find it on every platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, YouTube. You'll find it. Just go look for it. It's called Coffee with Jim, and definitely catch my wife because she's brilliant. A lot of what she talked about will help with what you're going to learn and write down this evening. Here's why it's all about mindset. Here's why it's not about what video you give to somebody. This is what everybody asks me at the convention. I'm moving through a convention center, and you know, maybe I've been on the stage so people recognize me, or they know who I am or maybe I spoke at a Super Saturday in their town. And they always ask the same types of questions. They ask, well, what do you use for the video? Well, what do you say to a real estate agent? Well, what do you say to somebody that's when they say that they want to think about it, and they want me to tell them what I say and what I do and what all the tactics are. And I understand, because I walked up to those men and women that came before me and asked those very same questions. But ultimately, it's not about the tactics. It's not about the video. Any video will do. It's not about the exposure tool, because any tool will do. It's not about the ability to overcome objections or the perfect script for how to invite somebody to an exposure, because really your words will do. The difference between people who become incredibly successful in Legal Shield and those that are left with their goals just out of their reach is mindset. So I want you to write this down. As leaders, and whether you have a team or not, I hope that your goal is to build a Legal Shield team, an international team of producers, professionals, people that are independent, but you can count on them. They produce consistently every month. They're on Mad Street, Performance Club. They're earning their rings. And thus, you're building this sustainable, growing Legal Shield business. I hope that's a goal for everybody watching and listening to this training. The question is, how do you get there? Well, as a leader, you have to answer these questions for yourself, but also you have to understand that every person that you are recruiting, every person in your team that you're working with, every person you're inviting to a Zoom presentation or sharing a video with is asking themselves these questions. These are questions you have to answer for you, and you have to lead people to the answers for themselves. Question number one is it possible? Is it possible? And when I say, is it possible, I mean this Legal Shield business, this entrepreneur's dream, is it possible? Was it just set aside for a select few, and they're the people we see in the videos and that are walking that stage? Or is it possible for all? Is it possible if you didn't have the education, or you didn't come from sales, or you'd never been in direct sales, network marketing, home-based businesses before? Is it possible if you've never done anything except trade time for money in a W-2 environment, working for somebody else? Is it possible for you if that's your life? And to answer that question, see, this is not a situation where I tell you the answers, but I have to tell you how to grasp and grapple with answering these questions for yourself and as a leader for your team. Is it possible? Well, it certainly is. And all you have to do, you don't have to go any further than our Legal Shield profiles of success to know that it's possible. When I got started, it was a pamphlet, a brochure. Now it's bigger than a Yellow Pages. And since many of us seem to be old enough to know that reference, I won't go any further than that. For the kids, Google it, I guess. But there's the thing, we used to get a book and it had everybody's phone number in it. And it's a big, massive book. Put in the chat if you've held in your hands a physical copy of Profiles of Success in the last 5 years, so you can understand the weight of that. This big book, and everybody in the book is a ring earner, an executive director that's been executive director qualified for a long time, millionaire club members. A book, page after page after page after page of stories. And when you read these stories, what you find out is that these people have come from, some of them, incredible challenges. They didn't have incredibly robust sales skills, most people. People were mowing lawns before they became Legal Shield Millionaire Club members. People were pumping gas. People were high school dropouts. People were not able to read. And yet they still were able to come to this company, have this vehicle called Legal Shield, fulfill Harlan Stonecipher's vision for the individual associate, which is start from wherever you are and go wherever you want. Not just to serve with our membership and our service, which is important to protect that family, but also for you to live the American dream. Harlan Stonecipher once stood on a stage famously, and he said, "I wish for you to have more cars than you can drive. I wish for you the women in the audience, to have more shoes than you can wear." And I think somewhere along the way, we forgot that all of that was possible, and it is possible. Profiles of Success is a physical manifestation. You can see, as you flip through those pages, the real stories of real people. And when you go to the convention, like in St. Louis, you'll see those real people. And they're not actors. They're not celebrities. They may seem celebrity to us. We may put them up on a pedestal for a moment, but when you meet them and interact with them and talk to them and ask them questions, you will find that they are Legal Shield independent associates just like you and I. No different. Put on their clothes like you and I do. Go out and market memberships and recruit associates like you and I do. What that means is it is possible for you and I and anybody else. But that is a mindset. See, we can tell ourselves that this is a hard business, or we can tell ourselves this is an easy business. And either one of those is true. We can tell ourselves that, well, in our city, in our state, nobody else understands. It's more complicated here. It's not as easy here. They don't get it in California, but if they lived here, they'd understand why it's so much more of a challenge. Or we can say, this is the best place to do it because it's where I am. This is the simplest way to build a Legal Shield business. Everybody else should wish they were where I am because I have an unending supply of prospects, people that I can talk to and share this incredible service and opportunity with. It's all mindset. It's all mindset. Danny Kaye, one of the stars of my favorite movie of the holidays, White Christmas, says, life is a great big canvas, and you should throw all the paint on it that you can. Think about that for a moment. Are we getting by? Are we expanding our vision for a brighter tomorrow? Or are we just trying to solve the problems of the day? And by the way, the problems of the day that are right in front of us are very real. But the reality is that the problems of the day are going to be the problems of the day. But when we have a vision for a brighter future, we start to ask ourselves different questions about our Legal Shield business. For example, when I got started in my business, I had a goal because I had problems. I had a goal to make $400 a week. My problem was my bills were about $400 a week. I had a full-time job and a part-time job. And between those two, I made about $400 a week. And I reasoned that if I could earn $400 a week from my Legal Shield business, instead, I could quit those jobs that I didn't like, that weren't fulfilling me, and I'd still be able to pay my bills. Well, it didn't really take that long to solve that problem. But it didn't really change anything in my life because at $400 a week, I couldn't really get by. I couldn't get ahead. I didn't have any surplus income. I was still behind on everybody and everything. I had cars that were unreliable and not a safe place to live. So none of that changed. All that changed was the place where the income came from. And by the way, I was glad to be my own boss and to be a business owner. And it was a victory in my mind. Nobody was telling me when I could go to lunch or what time to get up anymore. But I didn't solve any of my other problems. But having a goal to make $100,000 in a year created a new way of thinking, created new questions I had to ask myself. How do people that earn $100,000 a year do that? What do they know that I don't know? What do they read that I don't read? How do they think that I don't think? Mark Twain says, 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did do. I think about that. I had heard that early on in my Legal Shield career as I was continuing to expand my vision and set my sights on a grander tomorrow. So the first question, again, I just want to stay on the training. Is it possible? Everybody you recruit is asking themselves that question. Well, the great news is you don't have to buy a book. I don't know what it costs these days, so I haven't bought one in a while. $30, maybe it's $40 by the time it's shipped to you, this big heavy book called Profiles of Success, which, by the way, is super impressive. And while you're at convention, I'd say get one and have everybody sign it. It's a fun thing to do. But you can access this digitally from your Prospect by Legal Shield mobile app. You can send the individual stories from anybody in the book to your prospects. Maybe you have a prospect that has the same background as one of our Millionaire Club members. You can share that story directly without having to buy a physical copy like we used to have to do, without having to be across the table from the person you want to show it to, like we used to have to do. And it's not only existing in your Prospect by Legal Shield mobile app, but it's also on your We Are Legal Shield website. There's a link right there that will take you as well to that information. And you can search by the person's name or their occupation. So if you're talking to someone that used to cut grass for a living or deliver furniture for a living like I did, you can go to somebody that had a landscaping business or delivered furniture. You can do that. You can do it as simply and easily as that, to say it is possible because someone with the same situation, background, and experiences as you has done it. Now that's that first question, is it possible? Next question, as a leader, you have to be able to answer is it necessary? You know, I talked about that line from Harlan Stonecipher. For some people, that makes them uncomfortable. But here's the reality. This is what should make people uncomfortable. In the United States of America, 140,000 jobs were lost in December. Now, to compound that problem, the government had forecasted a 50,000 job gain. So that means we were off by 190,000 jobs. And that's just the month of December. Now, we know that our economy goes up and goes down. But the individual faces, the people that are living that roller coaster, have names and lives. They're people's moms and dads. They have elderly or aging parents that they want to look after and spend more time with. They have young children that they'd like to be home with. They're not just data. They're not just numbers. These are real people. I don't know if you know this stat. Only 39% of Americans could pay for an unexpected $1,000 expense in cash. Only a few more than that could put it on a credit card or borrow it from somebody. What does that mean? It means that people are living on the edge. This idea that had existed long after the reality that you could work for a company for 40 years and retire with a gold watch and a pension, it just doesn't exist. It hasn't existed in a long time. Yet the echoes of it, the shadows of it, continue to permeate our culture as if it's available to each and every one of us. Based on the average annual spending for American seniors and the national average life expectancy at age 65, that those people who retire at 65 will on average live another 19 years. The average American will spend about $987,000 from retirement age on. I want you to just ask yourself, how many people do you know that are 65 that have $987,000 set aside for the next 20 years? See, it is necessary. Not just because we want to have a bigger house or a fancy car. It's necessary because what we do is noble and important. The membership is incredibly valuable, and every American and Canadian should have a Legal Shield membership. That's our mission. But the extension of that mission is everyone should have the opportunity to build their own business, a business that doesn't suffer from the overhead or any of the unnecessary costs and obligations that come from traditional business, a business that you can literally start, that we all started for $99 in America, that has a seven-figure upside, that is worth a multiple of that you could build like Brian Carruthers has built to tens of millions of dollars, and Darnell Self, and Dave Savula before them, and Wilburn Smith before them, and on through these legends, the founders, the pioneers that came before us. They were able to build a massive legacy for their families, a financial wall around this generation and generations to come of their family. And we can all do that, and we can open the door to that for other people, and we benefit as well. They win. The people that we share this membership with and opportunity win. They win because they get the chance to build residual income. They get the chance to have a one-year advance commission. Nobody asks them for their credit score or makes them sign anything, to get access to their bank account to claw back commissions. No, it's all on trust and value. They say, listen, we at Legal Shield want you to go protect families. We'll pay you up to $300 at executive director for signing somebody up for a $54 a month membership. I mean, that is unheard of. It's so good that some people don't believe it until they understand how it all works. So think for a moment about, is it possible? But then look at, is it necessary? It could not be more necessary. Henry David Thoreau, I've been thinking a lot about Thoreau because last Sunday, and I know not everybody is able to do this, but we were able to go to Walden Pond. It's not far from here. And we were walking around Walden Pond. So I've been thinking about Thoreau all week. But he said, you must live in the present, launch yourself on every wave, find your eternity in each moment. Fools stand on their island of opportunities and look toward another land. But there is no other land. There is no other life but this. In other words, how I would relate that to what you and I do, and here we are together this evening, is we all signed up for this. We signed up for this. We said we are looking for a vehicle to change our lives that by extension we can use to change other people's lives. By serving our communities with our membership and our opportunity, we're opening doors for other people just like us to be able to change their lives. In my power team that I support, where I'm their executive director, we call ourselves Agents of Change. And that's just not a catchy title. That is a culture that we build. That is the way we live our lives. We are agents of change. Shannon Adler says, carve your name on hearts, not tombstones. A legacy is etched into the minds of others and the stories they share about you. With your Legal Shield business, you can create an environment where people are saying your name, sharing your story, being grateful for the opportunity that you gave to them. Many of us, before we came to Legal Shield, never were in a position to give anybody an opportunity. Many of us were in the position where we had to fight for every opportunity for ourselves. We had to get the scraps when they were available. And we were the ones looking for help. Now, because of this, we get to be the ones that give the help, that do the good. The Apostle Paul said, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. I have seen over and over again in Legal Shield, people that have pulled themselves up with this vehicle, changed their lives, and their cup does in fact runneth over. And to see the good that these men and women do with that blessing, to see the way they pour that back into their communities and their families and their friends is just astounding. I hope you're all seeing that as well. And if you're not, get around the people that have earned the most money, and you'll be astounded to see how generous they all are. Here's the third question you have to answer. And I know I'm running long, Joe. I'll be quick. The third question is this. After is it possible and is it realistic? Is it possible and is it necessary? Is can I do it? Can I do it? Meaning me, Jim Tanner, you, Joe Welch, everybody here, everyone you talk to. Okay, it's possible, it's necessary, but can I do it? Is it complicated or is it simple? Well, Jeff Olson in the Slight Edge says the truth is what you do matters. What you do today matters. What you do every day matters. Successful people just do the things that seem to make no difference in the act of doing them, and they do them over and over and over again until the compound effect kicks in. See, what Jeff Olson understood, and he wrote in the Slight Edge, which I hope if you haven't read, you do basically immediately, like tonight, because the power of the Slight Edge is the power of simplicity. The fact that a Legal Shield business was built for everybody to win, not for people with the best contacts or the best sales skills. It's for everybody to win. It's not a complicated business. The 10 core commitments, which you will find easily accessible in your LS Engage back office, is the roadmap. It's all things. All 10 things are things that are easy to do. Definition of easy is something that you and I can do. But because they're easy to do, they're easy not to do. Because they're so simple and clearly written and articulated out in black and white that we often think, well, it can't possibly be that simple. I must complicate it. There's something missing and I'll fill in the missing things. But that's just not the reality. Because if it wasn't simple, I wouldn't be here. This would be somebody else speaking to you tonight. I was delivering furniture for a living. I'd never done any sales outside of retail, which means I run a cash register. If this was complicated, I would not have succeeded here. If this was intimidating and required a lot of great contacts, I would not have succeeded here. If you had to have great credit and a college degree, I would not have succeeded here. But because Legal Shield is what it is, a vehicle to open the arms of the entrepreneur's dream and let everybody in that wants to come along for the ride and do the work and follow the simple disciplines, the 10 core commitments, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm a Millionaire Club member. And I'll tell you this, not everybody right now that follows the 10 core commitments is a Millionaire Club member, but every Millionaire Club member follows the 10 core commitments. You know what that means? Simple way to say that is success leaves clues. So there's your 3 questions as I wrap it up. I'm going to turn it back over to Joe Welch for closing thoughts. Is it possible? Yes, it is. Because it's only a flip of profiles of success away. Is it necessary? Turn on any news, TV, the internet, a magazine, a newspaper, your radio. Ask yourself if it's necessary to build a financial wall around yourself and to give people an opportunity to do that for their own family. And can I do it? Can you do it? Can she do it? Can he do it? Absolutely. Because that's how we got here 48 years later. Seemingly average, ordinary men and women living an extraordinary life. And I'll leave you with this, Joe, as I turn it back to you. A poem that I love from Donna Markova. I will not die an unlived life. You've probably heard Les Brown say this. I will not die an unlived life. I will not live in fear of falling or catching fire. I choose to inhabit my days, to allow my living to open me, to make me less afraid, more accessible, to loosen my heart until it becomes a wing, a torch, a promise. I choose to risk my significance to live so that which came to me as seed goes to the next as blossom. And that which came to me as blossom goes on as fruit. Thanks very much, Joe, and everybody for having me this evening. I'm going to turn it back over to you for last words.
Wow, those are some words to end on. Holy smokes. Woo! Yeah, that was fire. I always appreciate being given the last word. Thank you so very much. Is it possible? You know, the image that came to me with the is it possible piece, there were 2 of them. One was, like, what's the difference between us and Jim Tanner? What's the difference between us and your millionaire, your favorite millionaire? Is that there's no difference. The only difference is that they did it, that they continue to be consistent. And very often I feel like, and this is maybe in every industry, I'm also a sign language interpreter, I do mentorship, I do things. And very often when we're coming to that new place, sometimes we look ahead and we're wondering how we can gain that. And the reality is that if you were to go to the other end and look back, you will see how you did it in the process, right? The consistencies, the building, the scaffolding, the continuing to grow. But when you're looking at it in the new to the experience direction, it sometimes feels like it's impossible. I thought about also, you know, my first job was at Burger King. And I know that at my time at Burger King, I slung a lot of burgers, I fried a lot of fries, I shook a lot of shakes. And I'm pretty confident that I made that Burger King a lot of money. I was personable, I was cute, I was fast, and I didn't have any trouble making them a lot of money. They paid me $3.35 an hour, and I had no trouble making them a lot of money. And I think that every day we go to a job where we have no trouble making somebody else money. I mean, think about it, the things that we've put up with, the things that we will do for somebody else who we know will not reward us, who will not give us the opportunities to grow. So when we ask ourselves, is it possible? You've already shown that it is, that you are possible. The question is, who is it that you want to serve? Where do you want those rewards to come? Is it necessary as a first generation Latina with immigrant parents who are citizens of this country, not growing up with business framework and watching my parents work? You know, my father worked, he's a psychologist working still in his 70s and 80s. We don't have generational wealth. I know that my story is not everybody's story, but I also know that my story is not unique. There's a lot of people who come where there is no generational wealth. So if you're looking at it even from the self point out, or you're looking in your community, we are community outreach. There's a lot of generational wealth that is missing, that hasn't even started or may have to stop. And especially with COVID, that line is even broken further. Never mind the services that we bring to the table and what that can do to preserve that wealth, to keep those dollars in the bank accounts. And then I think about, can I do it? And I do think about us as community advocates. It's like, maybe we just need a different frame. Maybe we need to look at it that, we talk about duty and obligation to share the message, but if you're really a community advocate, if you're really doing something for the people around you, then there is nothing standing in your way because you're just sharing a message. The other is, I feel like sometimes we work harder and we're more, air quotes, successful when we think that there's something huge stopping us. Women's rights, something's in your way, there's unfair pay, there's something happening, well, now I need to fight. And so we get the energy, the engine roaring, and we're ready to go. But if there is no adversity, if it's easy, if the guard is down and there's nothing to fight, can we see that the fight is still there? Can we still see that it's important, regardless of how, for some reason, Sisyphus and pushing that rock up the mountain, like constantly. Sometimes it's almost like we're looking for that, right? We're looking for that fight. And so what we do is we're creating excuses. I don't have enough friends. I burned all my friends out when I started Legal Shield because I called them all 100 times. I never go out anymore. It's COVID. I can't this, I can't that. And so we start inventing adversity. We invent the excuses. And the reality is that we know that it's possible because we've done it for someone else. We know that it's necessary because of what we are building and leaving behind. And we can do it. We've already proven to ourselves that we can. And I was listening to John Maxwell, and I just enjoyed his story about the farmer, that there was a sign at a farm stand that said that if you don't like what's in your garden, it was something along the lines, if you don't like what's in your garden, you have to go back to what seeds did you plant, something along those lines. So if you're not seeing the harvest that you want, find the seed. Find the seeds that you're looking for to continue to build your garden. Jim, it is always a pleasure to tag team thoughts and comments with you. It is such a delight to have our Northern for New England growing and having so many new faces and good mathematicians. Thank you for breaking down those numbers. I look forward to seeing next week some more names on our list and also some successes. We do have, it is only 10 p.m., 10:11 right now. And so that means we have just a little under 2 hours to be able to achieve our next accomplishments. I wish you all the best as you go and hit up that West Coast, your West Coast friends and family. I look forward to seeing you guys next Thursday. And as always, it's just such a delight to be here. Thank you so much, Jim. And thank you all for tuning in. See you next week.
All right.